Ena tat paramarthikam yatha sankeshu katitam yan moolam tat prachakshate yan moolam tat prachakshate bhakti yogasya me margam bruhi vistarasha prabho bhuri vistarasha prabho devahuti uvacha lakshanam mahadadinam prakrite purushasya cha svarupam lakshyate misham yena tat paramarthikam yata sankeshu katitam yan moolam tat prachakshate bhakti yogasya me margam bruhi vistarasha prabho lakshana mahadadinam yan moolam tat prachakshate bhakti yogasya me margam puri vistarasha prabhu devahuti uvacha lakshanam mahadadinam Krite purushasya cha svarupam lakshate misham paramarthikam yata sankeshu sukhatam yan moolam tat prakashyate bhakti yogasya me margam Puri vistarasha prabho devahuti uvacha lakshana mahadadinam prakrite purushasya cha svarupam lakshate misham yena tat paramarthikam yata sankeshu katitam yan moolam tat prachakshate bhakti yogasya me margam bhuri vistarasha prabho. Transliteration, please repeat after me. Devahuti uvacha. Devahuti said, Lakshanam, symptoms, Mahat Adinam, of the Mahat Tattva and so on. Prakritehi, of material nature. Purushasya, of the spirit. Cha, and Swarupam, the nature. Lakshyate is described. Amisham, of those. Yena, by which tat parama artikam, the true nature of them, yatha, as Sankheshu, in Sankhya philosophy, Katitam, is explained, yet, of which Moolam, ultimate end, Tat, that, Prachakshate, they call, Bhakti Yogasya, of devotional service, me, to me, Margam, the path, Bhurihi, please explain, Vistarashaha, at length, Prabho, my dear Lord Kapila. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please repeat after me. Devahuti inquired, my dear Lord, you have already very scientifically described the symptoms of the total material nature and the characteristics of the spirit according to the Sankhya system of philosophy. Now I shall request you to explain the path of devotional service, which is the ultimate end of all philosophical systems. Purport. In this 29th chapter, the glories of devotional service are elaborately explained, and the influence of time on the conditioned soul is also described. The purpose of elaborately describing the influence of time is to detach the conditioned soul from his material activities, which are considered to be simply a waste of time. In the previous chapter, material nature, the spirit, and the Supreme Lord or Super Soul are analytically studied. And in this chapter, the principles of Bhakti Yoga or devotional service, the execution of the activities in the eternal relationship between the living entities and the personality of Godhead are explained. Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, is the basic principle of all systems of philosophy. All philosophy which does not aim for devotional service to the Lord is considered merely mental speculation. But of course, Bhakti Yoga with no philosophical basis is more or less sentiment. There are two classes of men. Some consider themselves intellectually advanced and simply speculate and meditate. And others are sentimental and have no philosophical basis for their propositions. Neither of these can achieve the highest goal of life. Or, if they do, it will take them many, many years. Vedic literature therefore suggests that there are three elements, namely the Supreme Lord, the living entity, and their eternal relationship. And the goal of life is to follow the principles of bhakti or devotional service and ultimately attain to the planet of the Supreme Lord in full devotion and love as an eternal servitor of the Lord. Sankhya philosophy is the analytical study of all existence. One has to understand everything by examining its nature and characteristics. This is called acquirement of knowledge. But one should not simply acquire knowledge without reaching the goal of life or the basic principle for acquiring knowledge, Bhakti Yoga. If we give up Bhakti Yoga and simply busy ourselves in the analytical study of the nature of things as they are, then the result will be practically nil. It is stated in Bhagavatam that such engagement is something like husking a paddy. There is no use beating the husk if the grain has already been removed. By the scientific study of material nature, the living entity, and the supersoul, one has to understand the basic principle of devotional service to the Lord. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjanan Salakaya Chakshur Militamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vande Shri Vidapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Thamsa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Bhashyat Teshatarine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hey Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvise Namaha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Mukham karoti vatsalam pango langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru dinadharinam tavaivasmi na jivami tavaivina iti vigya devitvam nayamam charanantikam. Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. We are starting a new chapter, explanation of devotional service, discussing texts 1 and 2. I don't know if it is the coincidence. I happened to lecture on last 3 chapters, the very first verse. So I guess following the tradition. Okay. So a bit of context here before we jump into the verse. So if we remember, chapter 25, Devahuti started asking her son Kapila. She started asking him questions. What she said was, look, my dear son, I know the basic philosophy. I'm not this body, I'm spirit, soul, and all those things. But still, my mind and senses is being involved with the material nature for so long, from lifetime after lifetime. Is it even possible to get the mind and senses liberated from the material contamination? So this was her question, predicament she was in, and she approached her son, Kapiladev. And to answer this question, Kapiladev started speaking from chapter 25. And he is continuing till chapter 29. So in chapter 25, Kapiladev starts giving information about a sadhu, a saintly person, who you should receive the knowledge from? What are the qualities of a sadhu? So these instructions, how to liberate oneself from the material nature, they are not ordinary topics. They are very, very crucial, very important topics, because it's going to help us get out of this material world. So if you want to hear these topics, you want to hear it from somebody who's a bona fide scholar, a saintly person, not just from anyone and everyone, because they will just give their own contaminated interpretations and we end up where they end up, which we don't want. We want to hear it from saintly person, a saintly person who actually practices the philosophy, who heard about the philosophy, and who is a living Bhagavata, or a living embodiment of the philosophy. So Kapila in chapter 25 explains who this saintly person is, who the saintly peoples are, and how one should approach them and hear from them. And then moving on, chapter 26 and 27, Kapila Dev talks about, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he talks about Jnana Mishra Bhakti and Yoga Mishra Bhakti in these chapters. What is Jnana Mishra Bhakti and what is Yoga Mishra Bhakti? So, to appreciate something, one have to have a good understanding about that subject matter. If you don't have a good understanding of that subject matter, one will falsely assume, according to their own mental experience or speculation, assume. For example, if a person haven't seen platypus, if everybody knows a platypus? It's a funny-looking creature. If you haven't seen it, it's very hard to imagine it, because it has a bill like a duck, and it has feet like how does it look like? I forgot. Again, like a duck, and it has a tail like a fish. It's like a fish and a duck put together. So if one haven't seen, if somebody just says a platypus, and if they just start imagining stuff, they may not come to a right conclusion how a platypus looks. They'll just speculate something. But if you hear from somebody who has seen it, and they have described it well, and you know all the qualities of it, that the platypus can swim in the water, can live on land, it has certain habitats, all the different aspects of it, one could get a better picture of what that entity is. And then, one can relate to it. When they see it, when they come across a picture, they can say, oh yeah, I can understand that. This is platypus. So they get a better understanding. Similarly, to understand Krishna and the process of devotional service, one has to have the knowledge about him, about his wonderful qualities, how powerful he is. He creates all this material world, and how intricate this material world is. So when we have that knowledge, one can appreciate the Lord when we get to associate with him or deal with him in a more direct form. So that's why Kapila Dev starts with Jnana Mishra process, or yoga. Jnana Mishra yoga. Mishra means mixed. So Bhakti Yoga mixed with Jnana is called Jnana Mishra Yoga. In chapter 26, he goes into the Sankhya philosophy very much in detail. He breaks it down, all the elements, starting from Pradhan, Mahatattva, then Shuddha Sattva, Vasudeva state, Sankarshan state, the false ego, mind, intelligence, the senses. So he really goes into the details of nuts and bolts of it, very detail of it. So some devotees tend to be quite happy with that. They're happy to worship the Lord just through the knowledge, just through the process of jnana. So they worship the Lord through the knowledge aspect of the Lord. So that's called Jnana Mishra Bhakti. But ideally, if a person comes to know about a topic If he has the knowledge, he wants to experience that end object. What's the point of just knowing about something and not experiencing it? So for that, he instructs the Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Okay. Again, these Mishra Bhaktis, this mixed forms of devotional service, they are not considered pure. Depending on the level a person is, they are instructed these various lower forms of devotional service. So Kapila instructs Yoga Mishra Bhakti, where he explains the Ashtanga Yoga process. And through the Ashtanga Yoga process, one come to a state where they can sit down in lotus pose and then start meditating on the form of the Lord. And he also goes into the details of how the form of the Lord is, starting from Krishna's lotus feet, to his thighs, hip, chest, shoulders, beautiful face, eyes, the beautiful smile, the ears, and the Makara Kundala, the earring what he wears, which is made up of half shark and half crocodile. So he explains in detail how the Supreme Personality of Godhead looks like, how Krishna looks in his Shirodakashayi form, in his Vishnu form. So that the people, when they perfect the Yoga Mishra process, they can meditate on the Lord, on the features, physical features of the Lord, instead of just speculating themselves and coming up with some, meditating on a light or a lamp or a candle, nothing like that, so that he gives clear instructions how the Lord should be meditated upon. So these are the two processes, the Jnana Mishra process and the Yoga Mishra process he explained to Devahuti. He is explaining this to Devahuti because we have to also understand the contextual time period where they are living in. Devahuti and Kapiladev, they appeared in Satya Yuga. The age is predominated with mode of goodness. Everything was clean, everything was peaceful, everything was in abundance. Like now, if you want gold, we have to go and mine gold in deserts of Australia in very harsh conditions. You have to go and mine. But in Satya Yuga, if you want gold, you just go to the rivers, and the rivers just flowed with gold. You just pick up gold nuggets. Same thing with gems, diamonds. You go to Krishna and Godavari River, full of diamonds. They're just flowing through. People just pick it up. So everything in this age was in abundance. Same thing with food, milk. Everything was in abundance. And one important thing is, the people had a very long lifetime. They lived for 10,000 years minimum. They lived for a long, long time because they had a very conducive environment, good food, good nature. There's no pollution. There's not too much carbon monoxide in the air from the vehicles, nothing like that. It was very peaceful, and people lived there for a long time. So when they had an opportunity to live for a long time, so they had the luxury of going through different Mishra Bhakti processes, different mixed devotional service processes, such as Jnana Yoga, such as Ashtanga Yoga, and all those processes. And so they can take their time and relish those processes and eventually come to Bhakti. But that's not the case at the current circumstances what we live in. Anyway, we'll get into that. So these yoga processes, either the Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, the Ashtanga Yoga process or the Karma Yoga processes, they are not the end goal neither. One has to come to direct devotional service. If one gets stuck just in Jnana Yoga, he hasn't achieved the goal of the process. It's like you go and join an engineering college. the outcome you expected is for you to become a good engineer. So you can come and build bridges or whatever the engineers do. But not just because I like engineering, I study engineering, I just kept studying engineering and I just appreciate that and I just stay there in the university. You haven't achieved the goal of the knowledge you acquired. Same thing with jnana process. You understand how wonderful the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, how intricate He creates this material nature. It means how powerful He must be to do all these things, to keep all this floating. And again, when we discuss the Sankhya philosophy about the ego, the mind, the intelligence, and the interaction between the three modes, we are just doing lip service. We really don't understand how complex technical it is. At least I don't. I can recite like a parrot, this came from this, and this came from this, and this came from this. But I really don't know how it all happened. This is how subtle and how complicated the creation is. So one comes to that understanding that this person who is behind all this must be so wonderful. So I want to see Him or experience Him. So that is the natural progression of getting knowledge. As soon as I have the knowledge, I want to become an engineer. You go and study, then you want to start building things. Similarly, you understand about Krishna, get knowledge about Krishna. You want to start. I want to know this guy. Who is this person? I want to know. I want to see him. Then the Ashtanga Yoga process through which Krishna is revealed in the mind. So one can visualize Krishna in the mind. Of course, after a long time of perfecting these processes. And again, once you visualize Krishna in His wonderful form, and again, if you just are happy with that state of just visualizing it, it's still not complete. Yeah? Once you see this person, you want to interact with him because he's just so lovely. You want to be engaged in activities with him. So that's where people who just stop with Ashtanga Yoga or Dhyana Yoga, what's the word? Are stuck. The natural progression is, you see a person, you want to enjoy the person, deal with him. But the yogis who go through the process of Jnana Yoga, they are stuck in just awe and reverence. They just see this amazing person and they're just stuck, frozen. So the experience, the mellows or the sweetness is stuck there. So Devahuti, saying, yeah, okay, you explained me Sankhya, everything, you explained to me Ashtanga Yoga process, well and good. Talk to me about devotion. Tell me about devotion. These Mishra Bhaktis are good, but tell me about devotion. And then this chapter begins. To explain this, again, I will give you another example or my personal experiences. Anybody been to, some devotees might have gone to Mayapur, been to Mayapur, and in Mayapur, Prabhupada Samadhi, in Prabhupada Samadhi they make milk sweets. And the rasamalai made in Prabhupada Samadhi is out of the world. It's fantastic. It's even better than from Radha Madhava's offering. So the morning offering done for Prabhupada, the milk sweets, especially the rasamalai. Rasamalai is a milk sweet made with cottage cheese, soaked in thickened milk. It's quite rich and quite sweet. Very nice. A Odia devotee used to make, a devotee from Orissa used to make that in the morning. Exceptional, out of the world. So we used to prefer to get sweets from Prabhupada than from the main altar. So, I'm describing about the sweet. The rasamalai is made from the protected cows from the Goshala. in Mayapur who are, these cows are really nicely looked after, and devotees love these cows and milk those cows, and from that milk, they make paneer, the cottage cheese. It's not cottage cheese, it's not paneer what they buy from outside where it is contaminated by buffalo milk. Nothing like it's pure cow's milk. And and this devotee, I've seen him make, he really kneads the paneer, and it becomes really soft. In the meanwhile, he's boiling the milk, and you get the skin of the milk, layer after layer, it becomes thicken, and then the right consistency, he makes them into the shape, and he dips them in that thickened milk, and any little moisture left is absorbed by the cottage cheese balls, and so it just becomes like thick and sweet, and just amazing, just amazing. Okay, you heard about it. So, have you tasted it? No. Yeah. But that's where the Sankhya philosophers stop. They think, just by hearing it, by speculating and hearing it, achieved the taste. The taste is really good. That they are stuck there. But naturally, what an intelligent person wants to do is, I want to see how it is made. I want to actually visualize it, what is going on. So I want to get a ticket to go to Mayapur. Save money, get a ticket to go to Mayapur, and go, and then see this. Milk preps. He's making it. So of course they won't let you into the pujari room so that you can see it. Of course you got to make friends and leverage and all those things so you can go and see this. Then you go and see this amazing, soaked in saffron, offered to Prabhupada in the morning, Mangalarati. It just looks beautiful. And again, just looking at it, haven't fulfilled the tattva or the nature of Rasamalai. So what do you want to do? You want to taste it. You want to experience it. You want to talk to pujaris, ask for it. They give it to you. You want to actually taste it, put it in your mouth, enjoy it. Have that intimate relationship of consuming it. And same thing here. Jnana Mishra Bhakti, just knowing about it. Ashtanga Yoga process, Yoga Mishra Bhakti, just looking at it, looking at the Lord. And the last part is devotional service, pure devotional service. Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, without any contaminations of jnana or, yoga. You're actually established in a situation where you're interacting with Krishna. Again, this interaction, you heard about Rasamalai, you went and saw it, and they even gave it to you, but you need to know what to do with it. You can't, just because it's wonderful, you can't put it in your nose. You can't rub it in your eyes. If you want fragrance, you can smell it with your nose. The lotus garlands worn by Radha Madhava in Mayapur, it's very fragrant. It's just out of the world. So of course, that one you want to smell it. But Rasamalai, you need to know how to deal with it. You need to know how to deal with it. You want to consume it. You want to eat it, and to eat it also, you want to eat it before you have tasted any other milk sweets. Just getting at a bit technicality of it, how to eat Rasamalai. So this is what I used to do in Mayapur. So if they give you milk sweets, if they give you sweet rice, gulab jamun, rasgullas and sandesh, you don't want to eat them first. Because if you eat them, your senses are saturated by sweetness. Then if you eat Rasamalai, you're not appreciating it. You have to eat it first before you eat the other sweets. So the senses are fresh, you can consume it and taste it. Similarly, the devotion service, you come to an element of, oh yeah, seeing the Lord, I want to deal with Him. So you don't start speculating how to deal with the Lord. You don't jump in the altar and start dancing with Krishna. No, you don't do those things. It's like putting rasmalai in your mouth, nose. You don't do those things. You learn how to deal with Him in the right process. So it benefits us. The rasmalai is sweet. It's already wonderful. It doesn't need learning about being sweet. So similarly, Krishna is wonderful already. He has his friends and lovers and parents. He has all. He is sweet already. It's us who need to know how to deal with Krishna. So that process is called devotional service. That's a process Kapila Dev is going to explain in this chapter. How you deal with Krishna, how you learn the art of serving Krishna. Where are we? Yeah, I'll make a few points from the purport. So, just because the Jnana Mishra Bhakti is a lower stage, it doesn't mean you start devotional service, but you don't do it. It's not like you do it without knowledge. You still need to have the knowledge. So Prabhupada says, without knowledge, a religion without knowledge is sentimentalism. It's just merely, like you go to India, there's demigod worshippers. They're just merely sentimental. They don't have any philosophical backing. They just do it because they're sentimental about it. They're born in that particular family. The Christians, they're born in Christianity, whatever, and I don't know how much philosophical background they have. They just, you talk to them and they say, oh no, it's just three. What is it? The three Trinity. What is it? Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and Eve. Help me out. The Father. Yeah, you ask about how these entities or how they work. They don't know. It's just mere sentiment, It's good sentiment, but it's still sentiment. You want to be an expert in the subject matter here. So the Jnana Yoga process is important. So you understand the knowledge, how things work, how Krishna is, what he likes, what he doesn't like, what we need to do so that we can improve. And the flip side of it is only philosophy and no devotion, and that becomes fanaticism. People become fanatic. They just read something and they just want to, like the Muslims, what's his name? Muhammad says, if you're not following, you got to be killed. If you don't follow Quran, you have to be killed. So they are fanatic about it. And they just want to go around killing people. It's their way or no way. And that's fanaticism. They don't understand the finer aspects, how devotion works. People are in different stages. Some people have certain coverings. Some people, so they can understand certain level. Some people are much more. The coverings have been cleansed, so their understanding is. So they don't have this concepts. It's my way, or what is that they used to say in India? Quran in one hand or the sword in the other hand. You choose one of them. You don't choose Quran, you get chopped off. So that's fanatical approach to religion. Yeah. So a person interested in devotional service should have both the philosophy and also the finer sentiments, so you can appreciate the process properly. So that's a point Prabhupada makes here. And the basis of understanding the knowledge is coming to the three aspects what Prabhupada says here, which is Samandha, Prayojana, Samandha, Abhidaya and Prayojana concept. Samandha is to understand who I am and who is the Lord, and knowing our position so that you act accordingly. The position is Jivera Swarupa Hoy, what is that? Krishna Nityadas. coming to the understanding that I'm a servant of God. And that's a sambandha, a relationship. What is a relationship? That is a relationship. And any other mellows, you want to be a friend of the Lord, you want to be a lover, or you want to be a parent, or you want to be a child, or enjoy those interactions, the basis is still the servitorship, being the servant. That's a fundamental, that's a platform in other mellows work. So one has to come to that sambandha, understand the sambandha aspect of the Lord. And then the prayojana, the end goal, understanding Krishna. He is the end goal, and devotional service to him is the end goal. And the middle aspect, the abhidaya, is the process. How knowing me who I am will achieve the goal of prayojana. The process is devotional service. That's what is explained here. And this process, considering we are in Kali Yuga, the acharyas have the acharyas understand that we don't have the intelligence or time to go through various processes slowly. The age of Kali Yuga, and I've described the Satya Yuga, how clean, peaceful and all. The age of Kali Yuga, I don't need to describe, you can see it for yourself. Everybody's mad. Just absolutely mad. They don't even know if they're man, or they don't know if they're woman. It's simple things. They're confused. So the scriptures say, Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya upadrita. This is the nature of Kali Yuga, the living entities in Kali Yuga. They are manda, they are slow. Sumanda mataya, their intelligence is really, really so slow. Sumanda, suma means very slow. Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya, very unfortunate. Yeah. Everything is an effort. Very unfortunate. You want money, you have to really work hard. And still you don't get it. We all came to Australia, from India and all. It's not like we are living a lavish life. We're all stuck in a hole in a huge apartment block. That's how we live. It's not like we have the luxury, nothing. Common man doesn't have any of those things. So very unfortunate. Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya upadrita. And we are always disturbed. We are always disturbed by our own mind or by external influences. War, pandemic, heat, cold, always disturbed. So that is the quality of people in this age. No intelligence, no good fortune. And how do you expect them to spend years learning about the technicalities, come to the realization, and then sit in a peaceful place, do Ashtanga Yoga, and then visualize the Lord? It's not possible. So, Mahaprabhu, when Krishna appeared in his most merciful form as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has given the Sankirtan movement. The process of devotion service is by simply hearing and chanting about Krishna. And that is the process for this age. And by following the process of Sankirtan, by hearing and chanting about Krishna, all the benefits are attained. Just because it is simple, it doesn't mean it's anywhere inferior. It's the other way around. Now, all those processes are actually inferior because people has to use up the time. We don't have that inconvenience of too much time. So you have a very short lifetime. You can just follow this process of devotional service, of hearing and chanting, and perfect our lives. So that is the benefit of living in Kali Yuga in one sense. When Kali Yuga started, some of the rishis, the saintly people, they were worried about all these bad omens. So they thought, okay, we'll go and approach Vyasadeva, who's the senior most sage. We will approach him and see what he can advise us. So they went to see him in Sarayu River. Sarayu or Saraswati, I can't remember. And so Vyasadeva took the shower, bathed in the river, and he was walking out jubilantly dancing, and he was jumping up and down in happiness. And the sages were like, "What is going on? We see all these bad omens, and we are approaching, and this man here is in absolute bliss. He's enjoying." So then Vyasadeva explains, Kali Yuga is such a fortunate time that the process of devotion service is made very simple, and there's no pre-qualification required. In other ages, you need to qualify yourself. Here, there's no qualification required. The only qualification to start this process is Shraddha, a little bit of faith, And then with that faith, the process purifies, and you can start appreciating and start enjoying the devotion service to Krishna. I will stop here about on this verse. Today is also the disappearance day of Gopala Bhatta Goswami. I don't know if you have the time to sing the Sad Goswami Ashtakam. Do you think we should or we shouldn't? Any suggestions? I'm sorry, you are the monitor. We will give it a shot, okay? This song is a bit of a tongue twister. So what could work for you guys? I'll play a beat which you can use the pacing mantra, the middle mantra, the pacing one, so that you can just need to have a couple of timings in it. Since the words are quite, I need to really focus. If anybody wants to play kartals, and I'll just concentrate on singing. Any tune? That's good. Okay. SAD Goswami Ashtakam. Yeah, by Srinivasacharya. Srinivasacharya is a disciple of Gopala Bhatta Goswami. So he wrote this really beautiful song, but it's quite complex Sanskrit words. So when Vishnu Jan Swami composed the tune, Prabhupada was very happy because it's a very difficult song. And he was like, wow, Prabhupada was very impressed when Vishnu Jan Swami came up with the tune for this one. Okay. Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premamritambo Nidhi Dhira Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premamritambo Nidhi Dhira dhira jana priya priya karo Nirmadsaro pujito Adhira jana priya priya karo Nirmadsaro pujito Shri Chaitanya Kripa Baro Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarako Shri Chaitanya Kripa Bharo Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Sadharma Samstapako Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Dharma Samstapako Lokanam hitakarine tribhuvane manyo sharanyakaro Lokanam hitakarino tribhuvane manyo sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Anandena Mattaliko Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mattaliko Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Shri Gauranga Gunanuvarna Vido Shraddha Samriddhiyanvito Shri Gauranga Gunanuvarna Vido Shraddha Samriddhiyanvito Papotama Nikruntana Tanuvrita Govinda Ganamrita Papotapa Nikruntana Tanuvrita Govinda Ganamrita Anandambudivardhanaika nipuno Kaivalya nistarako Anandambudivardhanaika nipuno Kaivalya nistarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Jaktadurnamashesha Mandalapati Shrenim Sadatu Java Jaktadurnamashesha Mandalapati Shrenim Sadatu Java Bhutva Dina Ganesha Ko Karunaya Kopina Kanta Shrito Bhutva Dina Ganesha Ko Karunaya Gopi Bhavar Samritam Tilahari Kalola Magno Mohor Gopi Bhavar Samritabdalahari Kalola Magno Mohor Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Kuyat Kokila Hamsa Sarasagana Kirne mayurakule Kujat kokila hamsa sarasagana Kirne mayurakule Nana ratna nibhanda mula vipada Shri yukta vrindavane Nana ratna nibhanda mula vipada Shri yukta vrindavane Radha Krishna maho nisham prabhajato Jivarta doyo muda Radha Krishna ho nisham prabhajato Jivarta doyo muda Vande rupa sanatano raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande rupa sanatano raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Sankhya purvaka namagana nadibi Kalavasani krito Sankhya purva namagana nadibi Krito Nidrahara vihara kadi vijito Satyanto dino chayo Nidrahara vikara kadi vijito Satyanta dino chayo Radha Krishna gunasmate madurimam Anandena samhohito Radha Krishna smrti madurimam Anandena samhohito Vande rupa sanatano raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande rupa sanatano raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Radha Kunda Tate Kalindi Tanaya Tire chavam shivate Radha kunda tate kalindi tanaya Tire chavam Premon madhava shada shesha dashaya Grasto paramathada Premon madhava zada shesha dasaya Grastopa Gayanto chakada hare gunavaram Bhava vibhuta muda Gayanto chakada hare gunavaram Bhava vibhuto muda Vande rupa sanatano raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande rupa sanatano raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako He Radhe Vraja Devi ke chalalite He Nanda Suna Kuda He Radhe Vraja Devi ke chalalite Nanda Suna Kuda Shri Govardhana Kalpa Padatale Kalindivana Kuda Shri Govardhana Kalpa Padatale Kalindivana Kuda Goshantaviti Sarvato Vrajapure Kedair Mahavivalo Goshantaviti Sarvato Vrajapure. Everyone, Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopala Go Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopala Go Jaya Rup Sanatan Jaya Rupa Sanatan Jaya Rupa Sanatan Jaya Rupa Sanatan Jaya Rupa Sanatan Jaya Shri Jiva Bhatta Gopal Jaya Shri Jiva Bhatta Gopal Jaya Shri Jiva Bhatta Gopal Jaya Shri Jai. Who wants to sit and meditate when we can enjoy tasting sweet rasmalais and singing wonderful bhajan? It's quite inspiring, isn't it? Like I was in Vrindavan when Kadamba Maharaj passed away. Painful, cancer, painful. But he was an absolute bliss. He was just absolutely in joy. You got to see to, he was just jumping up and down. It was just in his final days. Which other process could give you that kind of happiness? And it's not based on mere sentiment. It's backed up by philosophy. It's proper philosophy. I can, as long as you guys want to tolerate, and other yeah. Translation. Why don't we all read? Like I'll read one, others read 2, 3. Yeah. Maybe I'll just speak a few minutes on Gopala Bhatta Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Srila Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are always engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and dancing. They are just like the ocean of love of God, and they are popular both with the gentle and with the ruffians, because they are not envious of anyone. Whatever they do, they are all pleasing to everyone, and they are fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Thus they are engaged in missionary activities meant to deliver all the conditioned souls in the material universe. Sorry, one moment. When I read that both with gentle, they are popular with both gentle and the ruffians. How do you say it? Ruffians. You come in my mind because you're bailing out. Eve is a friend of mine, and she's a criminal lawyer, and she bails out certain class of people. So she's friendly with both classes. So yeah, here we go. Go ahead.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Dasa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in
Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jeev Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who were engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord and going down in a scheduled measurement. In this way, they utilized their valuable lives, and in executing these devotional activities, they conquered overeating and sleeping, and were always meek and humble, enchanted by remembering the transcendental qualities of the Lord.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who were sometimes on the bank of Radhakunda lake or the shores of Yamuna, and sometimes at Vamsivata. There they appeared just like madmen, in the full ecstasy of the love of Krishna, exhibiting different transcendental symptoms in their bodies, and they were merged in ecstasy of Krishna consciousness.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who were chanting very loudly everywhere in Vrindavan, shouting, Queen of Vrindavan, Radharani, O Lalita, O son of Nanda Maharaj, where are you all now? Are you just on the hill of Govardhan? Or are you under the trees on the bank of Yamuna? Where are you? These were their moods in executing Krishna consciousness. Sat Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. So today is the disappearance day of Gopala Bhatta Goswami, one of the six principal Goswamis of Vrindavan. Gopala Bhatta Goswami was very fortunate that when he was young, Mahaprabhu, when Krishna appeared as Mahaprabhu, he not just stayed in Mayapur or in Puri, he wanted to distribute the process of devotion service through pure love for Krishna throughout India. So he took pilgrimage and came to South India. And when he came to South India, the Chaturmas period hit. Chaturmas, we are going through Chaturmas now. The 4 months of rainy season happens in India. So the sannyasis don't travel during that time. So they usually stay in one place and perform austerities. So usually Chaturmas is for sannyasis, so don't worry too much about fasting. It's not for, unless you're a sannyasi, not to worry about it. So Mahaprabhu stayed in Srirangam. So when he visited Srirangam temple, he saw the Lord and Krishna in Ranganath form. He went into ecstasy and he lost external consciousness. And the head priest, Venkata Bhatta, when he saw this beautiful, tall, golden color sannyasi singing and dancing and fainting, he was like, who is this person? So he carried him home and cared for him or looked after him for the 4 months' time. And Gopala Bhatta Goswami is son of this Venkata Bhatta, the chief priest of Ranganath. And Gopal was a little boy when Mahaprabhu stayed, when Krishna in this form of Mahaprabhu stayed in his house. So Gopala Bhatta Goswami had a very personal association of Mahaprabhu. He used to jump on Mahaprabhu's lap and sit down. I guess nowadays it's children sitting on lap is forbidden for. Anyways, he used to just sit on Mahaprabhu's lap and eat the remnants of Mahaprabhu. Whatever he ate after that, he used to give the plate to Gopal, and Gopal used to eat the direct remnants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So he also heard the instructions from Mahaprabhu when he stayed there. There were many debates about the supremacy of the status of Lakshmi over Radharani, Radharani over Lakshmi. All these conversations happened in Venkata Bhatta's house. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami was fortunate enough to hear in a very tender age. And when when the Chaturmas finished and when Mahaprabhu wanted to leave, continue his travel, Gopala Bhatta Goswami threw a tantrum. He didn't want Mahaprabhu to go. So Mahaprabhu stayed for a couple of more days. And he instructed him, when you look after your parents, when your parents pass away, then you can come to Vrindavan. I will make arrangements for you. You can come to Vrindavan and we can have your association there, or you can practice devotional service. And then Mahaprabhu moved on. So Gopala Bhatta Goswami very dutifully looked after his parents. And when the parents were about to die, they told Gopal, you looked after us very, very nicely. Now you go and pursue your path. Now you go and pursue practicing devotional service in Vrindavan. So taking their blessings, Gopal Bhatta Goswami left for Vrindavan. And when he left, he was 30 years old. And Mahaprabhu, he was staying in Puri at that time, and he came to know that Gopal has come to Vrindavan and taken shelter of Rupa and Sanatan. So he was very happy. So Mahaprabhu gave his personal upper cloth and lower cloth, and I think a pot also, his personal pot or something, I can't remember. He sent it as a welcome gift to Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And Gopal Bhatta Goswami worshipped, because the paraphernalia is not different from the Lord. So he worshipped Mahaprabhu through those paraphernalia. And those paraphernalia can be still found in Radharman temple in Vrindavan. They still hold on to it and worship it. So that's Gopala Bhatta Goswami. And Gopala Bhatta Goswami comes from a very, to be a head priest of Ranganath temple. Ranganath temple is the cynosure or the prime temple of the Sri Vaishnava school. To be the head priest, he's not ordinary person. So he comes from a very exalted family, and he has learnt philosophy from Krishna himself and through his Purvacharyas. His uncle, that is Venkata Bhatta's brother, is Prabodhananda Saraswati. He's a very intimate associate of Mahaprabhu. To the extent Prabodhananda Saraswati used to get on Mahaprabhu's case. He used to scold them. Why are you following austerity? Why are you trying to pretend as a sannyasi? We all know who you are. So he used to get on Mahaprabhu's case. And Mahaprabhu said, I have to tolerate him. Look at me, I'm a sannyasi. He's ordering me around. Because in Nitya Leela, Prabodhananda Saraswati is Satyabhama, who was always a bit feisty woman. She was a bit feisty and she used to get on Krishna's case. So a similar exchange of rasa. So that's Prabodhananda Saraswati, who is the uncle of Gopala Bhatta Goswami. So you can see how exalted Gopala Bhatta Goswami is. Oh God, there's so much pastimes. I don't know, I'm running out of time. If people want to go. It's Saturday, so we'll keep describing. And then when Mahaprabhu left the planet, when he disappeared from our eyes, Gopala Bhatta Goswami was very sad, naturally. So he was lamenting a lot